welcome to episode number, I swear I don't do this on purpose, 75 of the Darkcast. You know the score by now. I'm Tony Mango. This is a bonus episode. This is actually our third bonus episode for February. Didn't necessarily plan on doing 3 bonus episodes, but I've been trying to figure out a way to do a little bit more on this channel for the YouTube channel members and the Patreon subscribers, just to show my appreciation and, to, take something that I would normally do maybe just on part of the website and apply that here. So that's what I'm going to do here. It's not going to be a long one, to be perfectly honest. I actually don't even know how long this is going to go. This could be a 5-minute video. This could be a 15-minute one. It could be a half-hour one. I don't know. Part of it's going to depend on when Rob is ready to start to do the podcast as well. And to be honest, as much as I have to say about this topic, because what I'm going to do here is something that I did, I believe, last year as a Darkcast as well, which was the annual Call the Spot on the Card. I've never really liked how long that name has been. I usually pretty much just say Call the Spot. It's a very old school gimmick on this website that goes back to... Actually, let me double check and see how far this goes back. This used to be a more prominent thing back when I was really throwing a lot of things at the wall. And I was just like, let me see, what ideas I can come up with and see what things stick and what things, go away pretty quickly and all. It seems like the first one I did was actually Elimination Chamber, funny enough. Elimination Chamber 2014? You mean to tell me that I've been doing this specific gimmick 11 years? Wow, okay, that makes me feel like shit. Very old school graphics as well. Look at this. I'll show it on your screen because I'm going to be doing screen share stuff and some of this. Look at this old school graphic. Wow, right? I mean, I've gotten a little bit better on graphics, and I understand what I was going for at the time. If it's called the spot, that it is, spots, and, the idea of, like, here's the normal spots and all that stuff, but I really didn't have to go literal with the spots on that. And it doesn't show you anything at all that has to do with pro wrestling. So, I learned over the years, over 11 years, not that it's the most amazing thing in the world right now all the time, but back with the original Call the Spot, I had planned on only doing these when I had groups of 5, and the losers of the Elimination Chamber was where I ranked them. Funny enough, those were Roman Reigns, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Jack Swagger for 2014. So who won that year? I guess I don't have that written down. And then I've got another group for Christian, Antonio Cesaro, because it was Antonio Cesaro back then, Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, and John Cena. Well, I'm going to do the more modern version of this and apply this the same way going forward. I am going to do the Call to Spot for this year, and that means that it's basically the same setup as what we've had before, where there are 6 categories, and I'm just going to get my rankings for that. No plugs, no any of that kind of stuff. You guys know all that stuff by now. I don't need to do that on the Darkcast here. Thank you for all your support. And it's pretty simple. It's just a little spreadsheet thing. A lot of spreadsheet action this week with the Pokemon What If thing. So you can check that out, by the way, and you're interested in that. Check out the Pokemon What If episode. It's one of the first of what I hope is many different crossover things. Yeah, so we're going to do this Call the Spot here. I have them in alphabetical order right now, but just to, say it to anybody that's not really, like, looking at the screen right now, we've got Alexa Bliss, we got Bayley, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Naomi, and Roxanne Perez in the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And we've got CM Punk, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, John Cena, Logan Paul, and Seth Rollins in the men's. Of course, we don't know who is going to win that yet. That is happening on Saturday. I was going to get Rob's opinion about this, but I figured, we're going to do the hot tags. He was nice enough to join me for a 2-hour-long Pokemon What If thing as a bonus episode last night. I'm going to give him a little bit of a break. But, yeah, you always leave your comments below. Tell me what your picks are for these, and I guess I'm just going to go ahead and get this started. So if you don't know how the Call the Spot works, it is pretty simple. I've got from bottom to top in, I guess for some reason I put it in reverse order. Uh, you have to put somebody in one of these spots. You can't double up. That's what makes it hard. And as much as you don't want to do it, somebody has to be released from the roster. Somebody has to be a jobber position. Then you got mid card, upper mid card, main event, Hall of Fame. Usually, my thought process is Hall of Fame can sometimes be, well, they've already had a long enough career, and we wouldn't miss them if they were gone. And other times it's, well, doesn't a Hall of Famer has to leave? Look at Rey Mysterio, Hall of Famer, still wrestling on the main roster. So, jobber released, same kind of thing. Released, sometimes you're better off releasing somebody because they are, better suited for like an AEW roster or something like that. And other times it's just like, no, this person's the worst out of the bunch. Get rid of them and nobody cares. So, again, I'm in alphabetical order right here. This is not the list of how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to try to figure that out right now. And we're just going to, wing it, basically. So if I look at this is my typical thought process. I usually look at this kind of on like a one-on-one thing where, I usually do not both lists at the same time, but this is just easier this way. So with released and Hall of Fame, I try to set the tone a little bit. And the first thing I can think of is, out of everybody on the men's side, the most obvious, hey, if one person could get into the Hall of Fame, who would I want to be in there? All these guys are Hall of Fame worthy. Let's be honest. They have all won world titles except for Logan Paul, but Logan Paul has far exceeded the typical celebrity involvement thing. He is a United States champion as well. So even Logan Paul is not somebody who would be like that. That guy would never deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, personality, that's a different story. I don't like Logan Paul. I was just even saying the other night that, like, man, I really wish that you could take the athleticism and the psychology and everything that Logan Paul's got going on and just apply that to somebody who is a nice person. By that rationale, this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to set the tone of Logan Paul gets released because, as much as it would be a shame to see his talents go to waste, he's the guy that I would want to see the least continue on the roster. And then John Cena has to go to the Hall of Fame spot. Ultimately, look, John Cena is the guy that would deserve to be in the Hall of Fame more than anybody else. So CM Punk, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins. One of those has to be a jobber. None of them deserve to be a jobber. And that immediately makes me go, okay, I don't know the rest of this list yet. Let's look at the women's list. Bliss, Bayley, Bianca, Liv, Naomi, and Roxanne. Who would I be okay with seeing released? None of them, really. But if I had to pick, it's between Bayley and Naomi. Ultimately, either one of them leaving would, I think, affect the roster less. If I'm being perfectly honest, as much as I like Bliss, been a big fan of her since the glitter, glitz, sparkle Bliss days and everything before she was cool. She still wouldn't rank super, super high compared to some of the others. So, the thing about what's weird about this is, out of this list, again, they are all Hall of Fame worthy. Every single one of them has been a world champion in some fashion, and many, many other accolades. Every single one of these 5 or 6 wingmen, I think, should eventually go into the Hall of Fame, and I'm a fan of all of them. So that's what makes this difficult. That's kind of the whole point. Is this is supposed to be difficult, and when it's super duper easy, then it's not all that fun. So if I had to go Hall of Fame for one person only, it's not going to be Roxanne. It's got to go either Bianca or one of these 3, funny enough. So I think the trick here is, if you've got 3 people in the mix for, they could be under the low side or they could be on the absolute top side of it, then I feel like you almost have to go, okay, Bianca goes into main event slot, and then I could give Hall of Fame to one of them in case they are gone for some reason. I kind of feel like maybe by default I have to go upper mid card Liv, mid card Roxanne. Because realistically, if she won the Women's Intercontinental Championship, that's not a step down or anything at this point. And then Hall of Fame Bliss. Release Naomi. No. Release Bailey. And go jobber Naomi. That sucks to see because I like all of these women, so none of them deserve to be a jobber. None of them deserve to be released. None of them, even at this point, deserve to be mid card because even Roxanne is above that at this point. Look at what she did in the Royal Rumble. But hey, it's a ranking, and put Belair in the main event of everything. Of course, she's going to go to the Hall of Fame. Every single one of these are going to go to the Hall of Fame. So definitely don't take that as any kind of a negative for that. Bailey being released, my thought process is, out of everybody that's on this list, I think she's the one that would potentially be served the best to go to AEW. She could reteam with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. She could go to like New Japan or something. Naomi did go to TNA already, and it didn't make a big enough splash. I wouldn't want to see Roxanne go. I wouldn't want to see Liv go. I don't think Liv would be as successful if she was in another company. I think WWE is her like sweet spot. And Bianca, I don't want to see go. And Bliss, I think if she were to leave, she would just be done. I don't think she would go to another wrestling company. So Bailey's the one that I would justify the most, being like, I'm going to stay in wrestling and I could do better elsewhere. It's almost like a mercy thing. Naomi, unfortunately, just ends up having to get the lowest on the pecking order. She's great, but if I'm going to job any of them out, I think it's going to be her. Now back to the men's list. And I can't hide that any longer. Okay. Jobber between Punk, Priest, McIntyre, and Rollins. You've got upper mid card, main event. I don't think I can quite justify CM Punk being the main event slot when Seth Rollins is there. But Seth would make an interesting jobber. A lot of the times with jobber, I try to justify it by saying, like, who could be playing a loser character and I wouldn't hate them for it, or I wouldn't be bored with them. Like, maybe they could tell a story that they are on a losing streak and then they come out of it or something, because none of this stuff's permanent. And ultimately, none of this stuff matters at all anyways. I don't think Damian Priest as a jobber can bounce back from that, because I think he loses his mystique if he just becomes a jobber, so he needs to be at least mid-card. And I don't think I would rank him main event over Punk, McIntyre, or Rollins. So I'm feeling like Priest in the mid-card is kind of almost by default. Now, upper mid-card main event, jobber. Punk is the other guy that I could see potentially being a jobber. I don't think it's going to be McIntyre. So I think I'm going to have to put McIntyre in the upper mid-card and then have to go jobber for Rollins or Punk. I think I got to go in that. Maybe I am back into that front of like, maybe does Rollins deserve to be main event, or does Punk deserve to be main event? Punk jobbing does lose some of his mystique. That's tough. McIntyre's so good though. Maybe I bump him up to main event and maybe go upper mid card for Punk so that he can work with the lower card guys. I think maybe we go in that direction actually. I think we go Seth could be a fun jobber. Punk goes in upper mid card. Priest, no, or maybe we switch Priest and Punk. You know what? I think we do. I think we go. Punk should be fun in a mid card scenario, working with people like a Braun Breaker and all. I mean, Braun Breaker's upper mid card at this point, but still. Ilya Dragunov. There you go. Like, that's a good person. Ilya Dragunov versus CM Punk. Like, I could see that being a solid mid card feud. Damian Priest. He's world champion as well. He's moved past that. Everybody's moved past this mid card spot, but I think this is the list that I would go with. Um, like I said, quick episode, just kind of in and out. But I wanted to make sure I did do a call the spot this year, and I figured, you know what, why not do it for the dark cast? So I was gonna say for the mid card for some reason. uh, I appreciate everybody on the dark cast here. I am actually at some point in the next hour or so going to record the hot tags, I think, with Rob. So this is going to be one of those like double upload things. But if you are seeing the notification about this being up and you join this tier and you're a part of this mix, then thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. I don't have a game plan yet for what the next dark cast is, especially because I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants with some of these. But I am hoping that I have enough time, and that's probably Rob actually saying ready, funny enough. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll see. the actually that beep probably didn't even come through on the podcast. Um, if you have any suggestions what you want the dark cast to be, do you like these like smaller things? Would you rather have more episodes that are on the smaller bite-sized things like this, or would you rather be like, no, I want a dedicated full hour? And even if it's just 1 hour a month, I'd want one topic for an hour. I mean, ideally, I'm sure you would want more than 1 hour podcasts and multiple of them. And I wish that I could bring that to you guys. But we got like Smart Madness. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do for that. And it's, March is a day away. So I might have to kind of put that on the Darkcast here instead. To be perfectly honest, the tournaments have not been something that I've been putting a lot of priority on. I actually even completely forgot, I'm pretty sure, to do Champs Giving last year. They've just been slowly but surely, like, people haven't been really interacting with them as much, and, I've lost my motivation for them. But by all means, if everybody says they're interested, then that's more motivation. So if you want me to do a particular thing for Spark Madness, or you want me to do a particular thing for the Darkcast, or anything, for future episodes and stuff, then let me know. I always take everybody's thoughts in consideration, very much so. Sometimes that'll make a big difference as far as like me deciding on something, or sometimes people just bring up an idea that I'm like, I didn't think about that at all, and then we look at the Pokemon What If thing. I was talking about the types and teams, and then Guest 5 brought up the idea about the Elite Four and all. And it's like, all right, well, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. Let's do that instead. So I always appreciate all the insight and all the input. And if you do have anything in mind that you want to see short or long form for the Darkcast for March, let me know. Let me know what your list is for the Call the Spot. And thank you for listening. I'm off to go do whatever it is I'm going to do. I'm going to fight aliens on a distant planet, like James Woods or something. 10 points if you get that reference. And I will see you next time, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and I'm being counted out.